Hello everyone, welcome to our very first Friday stream. As I mentioned in the previous stream at the end, that we kind of changed up the schedule a little bit. So now our masterclass Monday streams are on Wednesday, and our regular Wednesday streams have been moved to Friday. We listen to everybody on our Discord server to the polls, so and that's the kind of the best time that people wanted, so we're shifting over. So today we're creating a tree top village with the fantasy battle map style. It's not too dissimilar from what you see right here, probably less buildings because of our time frame, but we're going to be pretty much making something very similar to this. So let's not waste any time, let's just jump right in. First we're going to create a new map. We're going to pick fantasy battle map style. We're going to choose our landscape, and I'm going to switch to 4K. Again, if you don't have a higher end system, you might want to switch over to 2K. So 4K is the way to go if you have a higher end machine. We're just going to get started here. All right, sweet, awesome, first time streaming on Friday. I'm excited about it. Now, whenever I do any type of map, I generally build from the ground up. Doesn't matter if it's fantasy battle maps, if it's watercolor, if it's regional, if it's whatever it might be, whatever style is, I build from the ground up. Just like humans in real life, we build from the ground up. So what's the first thing on the ground if you're building a giant tree and you want to put buildings on it? It's probably going to be like a big root or a trunk of some kind. So if I just type in tree, there'll be this big tree stamp right down here, this nice epic tree stamp. It's nice and big, and I like this. And one of the beautiful things about this is there's some negative space that you can work with. And if you're not sure what I mean by negative space, I mean this right here. This right here is negative space. Negative space just means where there is no stamp. And this negative space right here is something that I want to use to add in like a lake at the bottom of the tree, and maybe that lake is the access to get up to the tree, on top of some other things. Like some great ideas that I had for this village was to have a lake entrance, to have a series of floating, or not floating, but hanging or suspending bridges. We're going to have all kinds of fun stuff in here. So I really wanted to add in a lot of different stuff into this. I also want to have like a platform for taking off for these little tiny flying machines that I'm going to be creating as well. So all of the above, we're going to have a way to access these little, from village to village on these treetop villages. We're going to have a runway with some flying devices. So all this kind of cool stuff, which I'm pretty excited about. But first, let's scale it up. I want it to be nice and big. And then I need to choose a spot that I want the negative space. Like what is the best negative space that I could use? Okay. All right, let's take a look here. We're just going to go ahead and turn the shadow off for this right now. And I'm going to turn the brightness down. I want it to be a little dark because it's going to be underneath the canopy. And now that I want to rotate it and position where I want it, and I'm going to have one of these spots be the entrance. So right here, we'll scale this part up a little bit more right here. All right, perfect. Okay, now I want to create the watery entrance. So I'll pick a ground texture. And I think I'm going to use this kind of forest floor one. If we just type in forest right here, it's got grass. So we'll select that. Because it's further down, I'm going to scale it down a little bit. So bring the scale down, and I'm going to bring the brightness down as well. And we're just going to go ahead and fill it. There we go. Perfect. And I also want to have a section where there's water. So I'm going to type in water. Perfect. That's great. And then, let's not choose. Yeah, this one right here should be fine for now. And then right here, I'm going to have my watery entrance. This is how you're going to get inside of the pieces. Perfect. So we're going to end up putting some docks down there, maybe some boats and stuff, and we're going to create an entrance that kind of leads up to the top there. So I'm excited about that. So let's just kind of zoom in here. Let's take a look. Okay. Now I'm going to add stuff down here later. For now, I want to build the canopy. So what I'll end up doing now is taking this big tree and bringing it all the way down to layer -5. I want this to be at the very, very bottom. And then from there, I can just lock it. So that it's locked in place, and now I won't accidentally select it. So now we're going to build the tree canopy. And so we're going to go back into the catalog. We already have trees selected. Perfect. Let's pick a tree that we want to represent the foliage. Now, obviously, these trees right here at scale 100 aren't going to work. So you're going to have to add multiple of these, and we'll have to scale it up a little bit. For now, I'll turn the shadow off, and I'll turn the brightness down just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to turn the shadow back on. Let's just go back to Object Shadow, and I'm going to make it a big shadow, because I really want to show the height thing. And if you really want to show height, ambient occlusion or shadows is a good way to go. So let's go ahead and put that down there. Let's scale up. Let's bring the brightness up just a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to put multiple of these on top right here like this. Okay? And it doesn't really matter which way that you do it. We just want to make sure that we create the canopy in which the rest of the buildings are going to be on top of. But I don't want to cover the water area because I want that to be open so that people can kind of see that. Okay, I think that looks good right there. Okay, we have all those pieces. We might have to select them all again. Custom, Object Shadow, and what we'll do is we're going to make sure that the shadows are all centered a little bit. There we go. We'll blur them up a little bit, bring the intensity up. Okay, there we go. And I think I might boost the saturation a little bit. There we go. Now that we've built the canopy, group that, and we're going to label it canopy. And now with the canopy is I want to be up a couple layers. So I want to have some layers between layer -5 and whatever the canopy layer is so that I can put stuff underneath the canopy like boardwalk, smaller trees, bushes, whatever. If I have it at layer -5, there's no space underneath for me to put stuff on the ground, but that's not underneath the canopy. So I need to make sure that's up a couple layers. So now that that's up, I can now lock it. And now we can kind of play with scale a little bit. Right now, we don't really know how big the tree is. This could be a very small tree. It could be a medium-sized tree. We don't really know. But once I put down the first building, that's going to decide the scale. Now, the easiest thing to do is just to use a regular thatch roof. And there's some just composites that have been put together already. So you already have these 4 right here that you can choose from. And that works great. We probably use a couple of those. But normally when I put down a building, I decide on the largest building first, which is going to be the communal hall. So the village working together with having a common space where people can eat. It's like a town hall. It's a meeting place. So that we're going to put that there, and that's going to set the scale for the rest of the build right here. Because you can see the size of the window, I can see the size of the chimney. So this is going to already set scale. Let's make sure that we also change the shadows. And in fact, I'm going to delete this. And before I place it down, I'll edit the shadow right now. And that way all future ones will be the same. The shadows will be the same when I place them. Remember, the trick to getting a object to stand out is that ambient occlusion. So when I place that down, you notice that shadow makes it really, really pop out. Now it's a little too dark. I might bring it down a little bit. There we go. That's perfect. Okay. This is going to be the communal building. I'm going to push it off to the side because more towards the center, I want that to be where a lot of the boardwalk is. So there's one building right here. Why not just use a couple of the other buildings as well? So I can put one here. And we're going to arrange things. We're going to move things around as well. These won't be the only buildings. Okay. Now that I've got that. So I'm going to show you guys a real kind of pro little tip here that you can do as a power user, because sometimes you want to make your own shapes. And you'll notice that there is just circles and squares and rectangles for these thatch roofs. What happens if you want to make your own? I'm going to show you a super cool trick that will let you make your own roofs, okay? So check this out. If we go to the shape tool and then I go over to stroke, I'm going to go click in the catalog, just type in grass, okay? And then I'm going to choose in fill, and I'm going to choose hay for the fill. Perfect. Now first, I'm just going to create a building, a shape real quick with it. Okay, there we go. And you'll notice that there's some things I need to fix. The scale needs to change. Let's change the scale of the roof as well, make that a little bit smaller. And let's also change the color of this grass to the yellowish color that's going to make a roof as well. So push that until we get that yellowish color. There we go. We might want to even boost the brightness a little bit. We want it to somewhat match the similarness here. So let's make sure that we do that. Let's bring the scale down more. Let's keep bringing the brightness up to kind of get that shape that we get, that color we want. We can bring the saturation down a little bit. And let's bring the contrast down a little bit on here. And then that should somewhat match similar to. Let me try bringing that saturation back up. Just want to make sure that we get the right. There we go. Okay. So now you can create your own shapes for these thatch roofs. And so thatch just means a roof made with types of vegetation like straw. That's why it's yellow like this. So there's our first step. Once you've done that, you're probably going to want to save or favorite this right here, because then when you go to use it again, you'll be able to use it. It'll be saved up. So I'm going to select this, favorite it, and now I have that. So let's make some interesting shapes. I'm going to use the grid as my guide, and I'm going to change my grid to a different color so I can see it better. White. That's perfect. We'll bring the opacity down. And I'm going to change it to be a bit bigger, so that way I can kind of see the squares better. And now I'm going to make like this some interesting oblong-like shapes. So for instance, let's turn the snap to grid on, like this. There we go. In fact, I'm going to set it to preview instead. There we go. Let's make sure that I get the full size that I want. There we go. So we're going to add. And then I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to bring the size down on this one. And we can kind of create this. What we're going to do is we're going to create like this circular kind of shape here. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I get this to be... Oopsie, I don't want to undo that. My bad. There we go. Okay. Just want to make sure that I get the size right. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn snap to grid off, because that's just causing me some issues here. There we go. All right, okay. Nah, let's keep going here. All right, there we go. Let's do that. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to minus the shape. In fact, we're going to make it a little bit smaller because I want to have like a oblong-like shape. And I want to make sure that it's big enough. Here we go. That's staying close to center. Minus. And then what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and delete some stuff. So go to subtract right here, and then let's do right here. Okay, there we go. There we go. So now we have this shape right here, and this is going to be a roof piece. And what's really nice is that we can connect other pieces to this, some composite pieces that we already have. So if I go back into roof, you'll see these pieces right here, and I can place them kind of on top. Let's go make sure this is on layer +5. We don't want that. Let's push this down, copy, paste, and put another one right here. Okay. All right, so now we have that shape there. The next step is we want to kind of create this idea that there's an arch in the roof and that there's different, that this should show shadows. So let's show you how to do that. Let's go back in here. Let's go ahead and change the brightness on how thickness of this. Let me select this real quick. Okay, we got this. I'm going to go ahead and create a shape right here. Oopsie, let's go to add the shape. Now I'm going to change the brightness on both the fill. There we go. And now we're going to create the shadow side. So this part's not too difficult. Just use the pen. Okay, is the pen not working? Oopsie, there we go. My bad. Well, for some reason, my pen is not working. What is happening here? Okay. Well, looks like we're experiencing some kind of issue here. So let's just save it, and then we'll refresh the page. Top. We're going to press enter. We're going to save and refresh the page. I don't know what you mean by a code. A code for what exactly? And hey, first-time chatter, by the way, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Okay. Save. We're going to refresh the page. For some reason, that stopped working. So let's go ahead and refresh the page here. We've saved it. Refresh the page. Thank you for being patient with me on this. And we're right in the middle of creating a thatch roof which I think is pretty cool. And we want to create the shadow part of it, which I think is nice. So there we go. Okay, now we should be able to attempt this yet again. I might have to do some changes because I accidentally didn't save it. So at least I didn't save this. So let's bring the brightness down on this again. Let's do this again. There we go. Okay, this is going to be the shadow part. Okay, now we can go in. Let's go ahead and also favorite that. And then the pen should be working now. There we go. Perfect. And just go in and create the ridge that's going to be the top of where the roof is, like this. Go to the center. Same thing here. Just follow it with the pen. I'm using a mouse. Super easy. Press enter. And then what I want to do is turn merge off because I don't want to accidentally merge it, and press enter. And then here is your darker side of the thing. Now, if it's too dark, that's okay. You can totally change it up. You can just say, okay, this is way too dark. So we'll bring the brightness back up a little bit. There we go. And we'll increase the size. So that way it gets about the right size there. There we go. Okay, it looks almost right. Okay. So now you have this curved structure. We can just group it right here. And we're going to call it a curved building. We have a lot to do, so I'm going to speed this up. Okay, now that I have the curved building, let's also make sure to add a chimney to it and some windows because it needs to look like a house. Right now, it just looks like a thatch roof with nothing on it. So we're going to want to go back into roof pieces. And then I'm going to save this roof piece, and then we're going to use it as like a kind of a template. So let's go ahead and first put down some roofs. Put one there, put one here, and another one right here. There we go. And then let's take the brightness down, layer none, advanced settings, bring the brightness down. There we go. And then we'll put some more, and we'll make them adjacent. Like this. There we go. So now they're adjacent. We might want to get rid of one. Let's get rid of that one and then put a chimney on there. Okay, let's use this one right here. Red works fine. Red brick works fine. Let's put it up against here on the inside. I think that should be just fine. There we go. And let's go ahead and add in some last bits of pieces here. Let's add some pop-outs. If you're not sure what a pop-out means, it means there's an extra roof that's on top. So let's put that there and put it right there. There we go. Okay. And then let's group, and we're going to call it curved house. There we go. Let's go turn that grid off. We don't need it anymore. And now we have this curved building, and that's going to work really well because then I can just place these right around some of the circular buildings, and that will give it a more interesting look to it. So we've done that. That took a little while to do that, but thank you for bearing with me on that. So let's go ahead and copy and paste a couple more in here. Let's put one here, copy, paste, and then we'll edit each one too, because right now they all look exactly the same, the buildings, and I honestly don't want that. The goal will be to change up the shape. So there'll be, I can go in and add in a roof piece right here. I can go over here. I think the roof works fine there. Let's move this one over to here. And this way you kind of make them different. You don't want them all to be exactly the same because then it looks weird. So now that we've added that part, we can go in and continue adding in some more of the pre-made pieces. So let's use some square ones and some rectangle ones so that we can break up the shapes. So let's maybe make a smokehouse. Give this a second to load. It's taking a moment to load for some reason. Okay, let's go ahead and put a square building in there. We've got a lot of circular ones, but we want to put square ones in there as well to break it up. Let's go ahead and add another building over here. And let's add in one more right here. Okay. For now, let's take a step back. This is quite a bit. If we want to get to interiors, which we might not get to interiors today, and that's okay, we'll be able to do that in like a part 2 stream, I think. So if we don't get to interiors today, don't worry about it. We will take care of that in the next stream, another stream, because this is a lot of work here. All right, let's go ahead and get the shadows on these so they stick out just the way I want them to. Perfect. Okay, let's keep adding in more buildings. Okay, let's add another one right here. I think looks good. And let's add another one over right here, I think should look good. Okay, so that's quite a few buildings actually. In fact, what I might do is remove that one and then copy paste this one. Let's put another circular building in. I think that should make it more fun. There we go. I'm not sure if I like it there. Oopsie. Let's see here. How do I want to go about doing this? It's always interesting to try to figure out the outline. Like, how exactly do you want to put this together? Okay. You know, I think we're okay with this. We'll just add in that building right here. Okay, perfect. So now that we have all those structures and buildings together, these are all of the different buildings that we have. Now we need to create access to get from one thing to the other. Let me make sure that all of these curved houses are up, or all these buildings are up a layer. I want them to be up several layers because I want to be able to put stuff underneath them like docks and stuff like that, rope, other things like that. So we'll go ahead and create access. And the first step for that, not too hard, we're just going to use the line tool, and we'll use these wooden ones right here. Let's just take a look and see what they look like while they're edited. Okay, and let's make sure they're on the right layer. I think that looks good. I want them to be just a little bit darker. There we go, that's perfect. Okay, and I think about that width looks fine. You want to have enough walking room for at least 1 or 2 people side by side abreast to each other. That way you can kind of make it to work. And what we want to do is I'm going to start with the main walkway. So that's going to be the main walkway that leads to maybe where you start, which is maybe the main gate or the main dock area that leads to the common area. And then all other paths are going to route away from the common area because it makes sense, right? Everyone needs to be able to get to the common areas. You know how they say all roads lead to Rome? All the paths, all of the boardwalk that's going to be up in the trees is going to lead to the common area. But we can start first with the main building going from to there. So we'll start with going here. And when you do this, make sure that you don't do these strong 90-degree angles like this. You see the way that it curves like that? It doesn't work like that. So instead, make sure that when you are curving, make sure to use a lot of different of these different points to get it to work right. Because if you don't, then they're going to work kind of weird. So let's place the first path leading to this building over to here, and this will likely be the entrance area right here to get up. Now that we've created that, let's continue creating the boardwalk that leads to these other areas. So we'll go in right here, and I'm going to have it curve around. Remember, don't do a lot. Make sure you do a lot of points. Don't do any 90-degree angles or anything like that. So let's kind of connect things. Here we go. That one's connected. That's good. Let's also connect over. Let's create a boardwalk that goes around the whole first one right here like this. So it kind of makes sense. That way people can access the main boardwalk. Here we go. Using those single points. Perfect. There we go. Awesome. All right. That looks good. Let's also connect here to here. Perfect. There we go. All right. It's coming together all right. Let's also create a little path that kind of leads over to here as well. And then when you're dealing with, if you need to do a curve, remember, use lots of those points to get that curve right. Otherwise, it's going to look weird. Okay, let's continue creating our access. So let's go ahead and point to here. Perfect. We'll have this curve a little bit around here. There we go. And I want to make sure that there's a lot of docks around here as well, because you need to get up to the area from the water. And what I'm going to have is, there's going to be 2 ways to get into the city I mentioned, or the village, and that is by air. And that's how the people there travel, because that's light, right? One person on a one-person flying or personal flight device is about enough. So at the bottom, there's going to be, or down here by boat, that's where this village gets its supplies from, because it's a lot heavier, it's a lot more to carry. So it goes by boat on the lake. Then there's going to be a series of cranes and pulleys that are going to lift the goods up into the treetops. Okay, and then we'll create that, we're going to create some kind of area where people can fly in and land. So I think I might remove or place this over to the side over to here. Oopsie. Don't want to select what's inside of it. My mistake. I'm going to go put this one over here, copy, paste, put another one over here. I think we'll do that. And then right here, we're going to create a boardwalk or runway for people to fly to get to where they want to go. Oopsie, that's the wrong one. We want that one, and we're going to turn that fill off. I'm not sure why that turned on. Oop, because I'm on shape. That's why. Okay. And when I'm making this one, I might want to increase the size of this one to be a little bit bigger. Because it's a runway, it needs to have room for flying devices. So I'll make it a little bit thicker, like this. And then we can create a boardwalk that's going to lead up to it. So we can just go like this. Oopsie, that is a shape. And then this will lead right up to there. Okay, and let's put this up a layer on top. There we go, perfect. Okay, it's coming together. Great, and then we'll put a series of ladders and stairs and everything to kind of connect all of this stuff together. Okay, let's keep creating access to get to everything. There's no access to get to this building right here. So let's go ahead and create that access by creating some boardwalk that goes underneath like this and kind of connects. See, it's really important that you think about access. How are people getting into these buildings, right? If there's no way to get into the buildings, then you know, what's the point of having it there? The players can't really access it. So unless you don't want your players to access it, which is understandable. There are some areas that you have that. Okay. Right, and we probably will add some railing to it, especially on the outside exposed areas, like right here where this curve right here is on the outside. You probably want to put a little bit of railing in here somewhere, but one step at a time, right? You put the railing on after you put all the boardwalk down. It doesn't make any sense to put railing yet, so we'll wait. First, we need to continue connecting all of this together so that people can access these areas. So we got to continue doing that. Let's put that one there. Perfect. I just want to make sure that people can access that one. Let's take a step back while we look at everything. So far, everything seems to be accessible as far as I can tell. And what I'll normally do is go to where players start out. So let's go ahead and put the little docks right here that are where our cranes are going to be. So copy and paste. We're going to put 2 cranes like this side by side with each other. And we're going to have 2 cranes pulling up a device because it needs to be strong enough to lift up the supplies, and 2 cranes because I don't want 2 ropes. I don't want 1 rope holding up the supplies, because in the supply box that's being lifted by the rope will rotate. So using 2 ropes or 2 cranes will keep the cargo bin from rotating and hitting the boardwalk and creating a mess. So that's why it's important we're going to add in 2 cranes to avoid that rotation. And I might want to consider copying and pasting this and creating a bunch of other little boardwalk pieces that kind of jut out. And this will create this illusion of maybe some little patios or a little deck, or maybe a little spot where if you have like a really small personal transport, you can just take off on your own private little dock up here. This is Fantasy Battle Maps, just so you know. Copy, paste. Let's see here. What are some good locations to put a little aha right here? Put a little personal little dock right there. Okay, so far I am happy with the way this is kind of looking. Let's push this down another layer. There we go. And in fact, I am going to push this to where it connects. There we go, like that. And same thing with this one right here. Let's push this down a layer. There we go. Okay. All right. Now that that's all completed, we're going to go ahead and save. We made 107 changes, so there's a lot going on here. We've created all the access points to get to the different types of the buildings, and so that's good. And I don't think we're going to get to interiors today because there's just so much to be doing here. So for now, we won't worry about interiors. We'll do that in another episode because I do want to do that. So we'll do a part 2 for this. Don't worry, I promise. Okay. So now that we've done that, someone mentioned some railing. So let's do that. And you know, a great thing to use is these rope fence right here, rope fence. Just be sure that you add a hard shadow to it. So when I put it down, I'm going to put down a really hard shadow so that way it will pop out, look like railing. Instead, it's just flat. So I'll bring the intensity up. And then we're going to use the pen again. And I'm not using my pen. I'm actually using my mouse for all this because you don't need to use a pen for this. And then I'll just press enter. And it probably needs to be on the right layer, so we'll put it up. There we go. Okay. So now you got some railing on that side, right? Because that's the most dangerous part. You have buildings leaning on the other side, and so you're not going to fall, you'll hit those buildings. But wherever you find yourself towards buildings or towards areas where you could fall off, it doesn't hurt to put a little bit of railing in those areas. So like right here is some good spots to put railing. Same thing right here. There's some open spot right here. There's nothing to lean against. And so putting railing there is a good idea. You're starting to get the idea of where to kind of put railing. Wherever there's most vulnerable, most dangerous spots. You don't have to put them everywhere. Just in the most dangerous spots. Here, here, here. Looks good. Let's do the same here on this side. And we'll put some here on this side as well. And you can... What's beautiful is that you don't have to have railing everywhere. I feel that having railing in every single spot looks weird. So just putting them in very specific spots is going to create this interesting contrast that I like. So just don't put them everywhere. Again, just in certain spots. Like here's a good spot right here. I know there's a building right here, but it should help to look a little better to add that there. Perfect. And there's some spots right here. Let's throw that in there as well. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost there. With railing, we'll finish this railing off and we'll get on to the next thing. Okay. Railing looks good. All right. Now what about support? How is it all this railing, how is all of this boardwalk staying up? Well, it's not too complex. We're going to use poles and rods to kind of hold everything up. So if I type in pole right here, and then we can just click and hold with the line tool and create a bunch of these. We just want to make sure that it's on the right layer. So I'm going to go ahead and click a pole from here to here. I'm going to make sure it's on the right layer. I'm going to get the scale right. And I'm going to get the brightness right. I want it to be a little bit thicker or a little bit darker. There we go. And then I'm just going to, what I'm going to do is connect the boardwalk to the structures with these series of poles to give it this feeling of support, right? Because we are asking yourself, how is this thing being supported? And what's really nice is that you don't have to be super realistic. Like the poles don't have to be like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. It's exactly where you'd put it. Don't worry about that. Just having the idea that there's support there is going to help to reinforce the believability of it. Don't worry about making it ultra realistic. I mean, unless you're some kind of engineer or something, that's a lot of work for you. And you don't need to do that. You're just a DM. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about making it absolutely 100% believable. Focus on just adding in the support beams, adding in the support pieces that you need, and even have some breaking off from it, like this, and making it look like there's several beams connected to it. And so this is going to be really helpful to give that believability. So I'm just going to click as many as I can to kind of connect to the buildings, to the boardwalk. Perfect. Add some there, add some here. Good. Oh, yep, here's some open space. Perfect. And it's the open spaces that you really want to put them because then you can see them. If they're in the tiny spaces, it's kind of hard to see. Okay, let's put some across here. There we go. That's looking good. Let me go over here. Ah, here we go. A bunch right here would be good. Like, how is that building right there staying afloat, right? Let's have a couple connecting off of it. Here we go. Perfect. All right, coming together. Let's even put some attached to here. And then wherever you have those, wherever you have these little mini docks, don't be afraid to add some poles as well that are kind of causing those to be held up. So you just put them down across like this. All right, let's go check where we are for time here. 3:34. Cool, we got time still. Excellent. I was worried that wasn't going to be enough time to get at least the exterior done because this is a big project. But you notice that we got a lot done in 30-something minutes already. See how quickly it is? You know how to use the tool. That's really going to speed things up. It's about having a method. And, you know, my method is simple. Build from the ground up. We built that tree. We added the foliage. Then we built the city on top, or the village buildings on top of that. We needed to connect the buildings with some kind of roads or boardwalk. So you're kind of getting the general idea how everything kind of comes together. And then we also added those support beams or rods as well, which is going to be very helpful. Okay, let's go ahead and connect these. Perfect. Oh yeah, there's a lot right here too. We can kind of connect this, perfect. Want to make sure that the that's connected. Okay, good. All right, looking good. All right. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and quickly save, and then we'll work on to the next stop. I think we've kind of put together the supports on how it's kind of support and put together. Let's do something fun. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's create the flying machine. And the flying machine, and it can be just a little tiny one. It doesn't have to be huge. Remember, it's just a little tiny one-person transport. And this is the reason why this village is so small. It's because there's a bunch of villages on all the treetops within this big forest, and they just travel by air to each little port dock that they have there. So what we'll do is I want to select everything, and I don't want to accidentally select it when I'm building something. So I'll just go ahead and lock it with Alt Lock or Command Lock, whichever one. It depends if you have a Mac or a Windows device. So I'm going to use this boardwalk right here, this runway right here. I'm going to use that for scale. So let's use a wheelbarrow for the body of the flying machine. Perfect. And then we'll go ahead and use our wing shape. We're going to go ahead and use this right here. Remember this shape that we liked? Let's go to favorites. And I'm going to make a wing using the shape tool. Now I don't want the wing to be too big because I don't want it to be too wide. Let's go to add. There we go. We're going to push up. Let's see how big the wing is. Okay. Oh, I got to flip the inside of the grass. There we go. Perfect. You might have to scale the wing down one, copy and paste that, and then you can just go right over here to flip, and then there's the other side. But I noticed when I flipped that it also flipped the stamp, so we'll flip that back around. There we go. In fact, we're going to push this in. Let's go ahead and group it for now. Let's scale it down, and let's see how much room we have. Ooh, okay. This looks good. All right, you know what? You know what I think? I think we should put some kind of mechanism that launches it. Instead of people running, let's put some kind of pulley system that's going to maybe push the device out. Let's make it a little bit smaller. I think that looks okay. Let's move this. Let's unlock this and move this a little bit to the side a little bit more. I want to make sure that there's room. Let me see here. Yep, that works. Okay, cool. All right. Now, how is it that I want to show that there's a system for pushing this thing? Not too hard. What we'll do is we'll create a... Let's take a spring. This is what's going to launch it. Let's take a piece of wood that's going to be the launcher to catapult it. So we just take a piece of wood right here. Let's go with... Let's use a bench. Oopsie. A wood bend. Let's use a wood bend, okay? All right, a bench. Perfect. We'll use this right here. That is going to push it. Perfect. And then we want to create like some kind of device that's going to hold it into place. I'm thinking a crate would work just fine. And not just any crate. Let's use a crate that has metal. Like this. We'll put it right on top. Perfect. Okay. There we go. And then we're probably going to want to put maybe some gears and some levers to give it a mechanism look, right? We want it to look like it's a mechanism of some kind. So I'll go ahead and put a gear right there. And I'll probably put a gear right here. And then let's put a lever on it. Perfect. Okay. And we'll put the lever right there. All right, there you go. Here's your launch mechanism right here. And what I might do is play with the shadows to make things pop out, because right now you can't really see much. So let's boost the intensity up. There we go. Now it pops out. Let's go ahead and push this closer to the center. Just like that. There we go. Perfect. All right. Oopsie. Grab that gear. Create group. We're just going to call it the mechanism. Perfect. Okay. So basically what happens is that this thing right here gets pushed up against this wood piece right here. When that's cranked up and pushed out, it's going to push that to go flying off. Perfect. So now we have a little flying device, a little boardwalk. Perfect. We can come back to that a little bit later if we want to play around more with that. But it's nice to have a little flying device there. Okay, now I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to lock it. So I select it. Let's talk about adding. Let's continue adding in our access. So let's grab some ladders. And it looks like we will have to do a two-parter because there's a lot to do here. So if you want to show that a platform is higher up than another platform, you can put a ladder on there. Like right here, I don't need a ladder on that one. Let me make sure that I use the right scale here. That ladder, let's put one right here. Let's put one right here to establish the mechanism. Let's put another one right here that kind of leads up. Let's put another one right here that leads up. Perfect. I'm not going to put any ladders right here. That's not necessary, but we will put another ladder right here just to show that you're going higher up to get to the landing platform. And it makes sense to have the ladders going up to it because you want your platform to be high up and there's nothing obstructing your takeoff. So that you got to have that there. Let's add another one right here. Let's just keep adding more where we need to add them. One can go there. Perfect. Oh, let's see here. Let's add one here. Going up to here. Perfect. One going there. Let me just walk around to make sure that I have all the access right. Ooh, let's go to the other one up there. Let's see here. No, that connects. That'll be fine. That looks fine. Okay, let's put a ladder right here. And I want to push it down a layer, it looks like. There we go. Okay. All right. Now we have all the ladders there. So all the access is there. Great. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and add in those cranes. Type in crane. We're going to put in 2 of them. Perfect. 1 crane, 2 crane. Awesome. Okay. We're going to play with those custom shadows here. There we go. And now let's create some kind of table to represent maybe a container that's going to be holding it. So there's a lot of different things we can use here. You can use one of these bamboo ones. You could use this rough wooden table. That would work. This dwarven one, this big core table would work fine. I kind of like this one right here. Let's use this. And we want to push it down a layer so it's below. Now, if you want to show that the crane is higher up, like the container is higher up, then you would scale it up and make it brighter. But if you wanted to show that the crate or the platform that you used to get up is further down, you'd make it smaller and darker. Okay, so that's really the trick to make it work right. Okay, is that you have to be able to show the dark, make it darker, and you have to make it a little bit small. Let's push it down another layer, make sure that it's at the right layer, and then we're going to create the ropes for the pulleys that's going to pull that up. So rope, you're probably going to have to bring the scale down and the brightness down on it because it is further down. And what I'll do is I'll just connect like this to create like a V shape that kind of connects it. Let's push that down a layer, and let's also bring the scale down. There we go. Perfect. And then we'll do it again. Start on the platform, connect, boom, boom. There you go. There's your way to get up. All right, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, it is a lot of work. I mean, this is just a small village, and we're already almost an hour into it. It's 45 minutes into it. It's just how this kind of thing works. It's just a lot of work to make these kind of things. There's just really no way kind of getting around how long it takes to make even a village in the fantasy battle map style. It's just time consuming, but it's okay. I mean, so far 45 minutes for this right here, that's not too bad. So we're moving along very, very quickly. Let's put in another crane over here for loading out on that side. All right. Okay. Let's take a step back. Let's take a look here. So far, everything is looking good so far. I'm kind of happy with it. All right. Let's go ahead and create the stuff that's supposed to go at the bottom. Okay. And so again, remember, we're going to use that scale trick. So I'm going to end up using the same boardwalk that I used right here, but I'm going to use a different scale and a different brightness. You see how big that is? If you want to show that it's further down, you bring the scale down, and then you use brightness to bring the contrast down. to bring the brightness down. And so what I want is I want to create this illusion of docks that are along the these roots right here that are in the water. And in that way, that's where cargo can be loaded up and everything. So first we'll create the dock area by just going like this. I'm going to put it all along this route right here. Perfect. And then we can maybe even have one going along this route as right here. And it needs to be a place where that is going to be. So let's push this down. Like, where did that come from, right? So it has to be down below it. And let's create a series of docks. Press enter. There we go. In fact, let's connect these two right here like that. Perfect. Let's create another one right here. Great. Awesome. We got the docks down there. Let's go add the boats. We're going to scale it down. Now, if you want it to show look like it's way far down, you would bring it much even smaller. But for now, I think we'll go with about 19. That looks fine. We'll bring the brightness down. About that size looks good. No shadow for now. And I'll put them all along here. One right here. One over here. Let's have a couple like maybe moored over here. Copy paste. Put one over here. Put one even off screen too to make it look like the lake is bigger. A little bit bigger. Let's put another one right here up against here. There we go. Okay. Let's take a step back. 92 changes. We'll save. Hey, first time Trek Heroes. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm glad that you're here. We're making a treetop city or a treetop village. It's coming together really well. Well, we're definitely going to do a part 2 and maybe even a part 3 because it's a lot of work putting together even a village in Fantasy Battle Maps. We haven't even gotten to interiors yet. There's still a lot of decorating to do on top of the buildings and there's still to add more foliage on top because right now it kind of looks like everything is just on top of the tree and there's not these varying levels of depth with the tree. And so we'll put foliage on top of some of the buildings as well, but not too much to where you can't see. So let's go ahead and build that treetop stuff. And what's really fun to do is that you can, again, use the same boardwalk stuff to make boardwalk that's on top of a house. So right up here, I want to show boardwalk on top of the house. And so I'll press that. I'm going to go up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the brightness up quite a bit. I'll bring the scale down just a little bit. There we go. And so it's brighter because it needs to pop out to show that it's higher up. We're also going to use a shadow as well to make it pop out more. So I'll bring the intensity of the shadow up. And now you have this nice curved part right here. And we're also going to add in a crow's nest right here. Perfect. We'll put it right on top right there. And then we want to connect the crow's nest to that boardwalk up there. And so we'll just take some netting right here and we'll place it right down on top. Right here, just push it down one. And then I'm going to change the transform a little bit because it's a little too big. And then this connects that upper part to here. Cool. Now we can just go ahead and add in wherever I want to put in a crow's nest up on any type of building that I want. So I'll put one on top of there, one on top of here, another crow's nest on top of here. Perfect. So we have all those crow's nests, and I don't want to do the exact same shape. I could just copy and paste this and then just put them down like this, but then they would all be the same shape. So what I'll do is I'll change things up a little bit, right? I'll change up the shape. So we'll put another one right here. And some will be longer, some will be shorter. I'm going to make this one a little bit longer, so it's almost like a horseshoe. A little length there. Good. Let's put another one right here. And where I normally like to put it is where there's open space. So if there's no boardwalk beneath to block the bottom part, because if I put it right here, then you notice it's going to block some of the boardwalk where your players are going to be walking. Don't do that. So place it in areas where there's a negative space and it won't block where your people are walking beneath that area. So a nice little trick there to make sure that there's nice flow of walking, nothing's in the way. Same thing here, right? There's not much for any boardwalk right there, so it's a perfect place to put one. You could even put multiple. Maybe I want to have a much little tiny smaller one right there like that. See, so it works out great. Let's put another one right here up top. We got some negative space here, so let's put that there. Perfect. And then because this is kind of the common area, let's have some decent ones in here as well. But I'm going to be very careful. Press enter, one there, and let's put one on top of the roof as well. Straight up on top of the roof. Perfect. Okay. Now I noticed that, let's take a look here. Oh, there's none over here. Let's put one over here. Perfect. There we go. Awesome. Perfect. And then again, just take all of these ropes and just connect them. Copy, paste. I don't want them all be exactly the same, so I'll rotate them randomly to be in different directions. So one over here like this, copy, paste, perfect. We're going to put two on this side, one over here and one over here. Perfect, there we go. So you got access to get to these areas. Perfect, copy, paste. We are getting there. Awesome, looking good. Let me make sure that everything's connected. Right, those look good. Okay, let's also create some, like, how is it that you get up to these things, right? How do I get up to those? So there has to be an access to get up to those. And the way that I do that is just by adding a ladder. So let's put a ladder just right here. You can access it going up that way. Let's put another one right there. You can access it that way. Let's put one right here to access that one. Let's see here. How do I want to get up this one? Let's go put a ladder right here. Perfect. Let's see. There's no way to get to this one right here. We'll have to add a way to get to that. Let's put a ladder on top of this one, on top of this one. There we go. Great. Let's see here. Up here we go. More ladders right there. Perfect. And I noticed that this is kind of blocking some of the boardwalk. And so we'll fix that by just moving it over to here. Great. Awesome. Super easy, right? We've got the access points getting to each one of these areas. Oh, one right here, a ladder that goes right up to there. Perfect. Awesome. People can get to these areas. That's exactly what we want. We want to have some kind of access. Okay, let's continue adding more access. So this is one of those things where I feel like combat up in the trees would be kind of fun. So let's go ahead and throw some ladders that go from building to building, just to give it that extra sense of depth and to make it a little bit more interesting, a little more fun. Let's have one that leads up to here. Let's have another one that leads over to here to this side. Let's scale it down. Push that one to there. Put another one right here. Let's put one right there. Leads to that rooftop. There we go. Okay, so you're seeing there's a lot of different ways to like access these different spots, right? Because what makes combat interesting in an area like this is that there is all these different levels of depth, right? You can fight on the boardwalk. You can fight on the boardwalk on top of the roof. You can fight on the roof. You can fight in the crow's nest on top of the ladders. All of that stuff. So that's going to make the combat so much more interesting, and there's going to be a lot to explore here. At 69 changes, we're going to save it. I'm going to check my time here. 53. Okay. We're going to add in, we're just going to throw in some final little details that I want to go in here, and then we'll go ahead and finish this in a part 2. Because I don't want to go over the hour mark. Oh, hey, first time chatter, Don John Masta. Glad that you are here, by the way. Okay, let's do that last bit. We're going to do some rope. And it's really nice to just have some random rope hanging around. I find that kind of nice. So what we'll do is I'm just going to use the pen. And then if you click, then hold, and then drag in a direction, it will cause it to loop a little bit or cause it to curve. And so that's going to be helpful. So let's bring the brightness up on this. I want these to pop out. There we go. And we're going to add in some rope. Remember to click, hold, drag to get it to go in different directions. And this is going to give us that just a little bit of extra detail in here. And then we'll go ahead and finish this probably next month. But so far, I'm liking the way that it looks. We've done quite a bit already. Just adding in these ropes. So kind of actually looks good. Just a little extra detail in there to give it a little extra touch. And then we'll continue this on another day, and we'll finish adding the details on the top, and we'll add the interiors, because there's no way that we're going to make an awesome tree village and not make the interiors, right? It's really frustrating when people make the exterior, but they never make the interior part. And so we're not going to make that mistake. we are going to absolutely make the interiors. So I'm excited about that. Okay, adding all these nice ropes on there. How does everyone feel about having streams on Fridays? Is that something that people like, or did you like it better on Wednesday? I mean, our polling data showed that people liked Friday the best. So I'm kind of wondering if that's the case. What do you guys think? You guys like the Friday? Does that work easier than on a Wednesday? Let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear. Oh, it's much easier to catch for you, Willie? Okay, great. Good. I'd like to hear that. Perfect. Oh, I love to see that. Fridays are pretty much much better. I love to hear that. Great. That's what I want to hear. I'm glad that polling data reflected what people wanted. That's good. Okay. We're going to add a last bit of rope stuff in here. Okay. All right. So, yep, it's 55. We're going to call it good. All right. So, here's what we're looking at. We started with the ground up. We built the trunk. We built the canopy. Then we made some buildings. There's those composite ones that are already built for you, like those big ones and those circular ones. But those curved ones, remember, we used the grass line shape and then the grass line for the stroke. And then we used the hay texture. So if you want to create your own thatch type of roofs, you can totally do that using that trick. So pretty cool. So then you make your own shapes, and then you're going to want to create access to every building. Remember, you start with the main access, starting from where the starting building is. That's basically where your players are going to start, leading to the common area. And you'll notice that a lot of the boardwalk leads directly to the common area, as you would expect, right? Because that's where people go to meet. That's where the town hall is. That's where the common area is. Common areas have things like places for you to eat, places for you to hang out and lounge with people, shops, things like that. All of that is going to be in that common area. So in the next episode, we'll add in the final details, lighting and stuff on the exterior. That will probably take more than about 15 minutes. And then we'll continue and we'll make the interior for this, because there's a lot going on here and I really want to make sure that we get the interiors. So I'm excited about that. All right, so thank you everyone for watching. I will see you all next week. I believe it's going to be on Wednesday. Or actually, no, next Wednesday is going to be a world map workshop with Philip. So bring your world maps, and Philip is going to help you make your world map. So that's super exciting. Philip is a master world map maker, far better than I am as a world map maker. So definitely go make that. It's going to be here on Discord, okay? All right, everybody, thank you so much. You guys have been awesome. Please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making.